What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this is your match preview. It's Newcastle against Everton. Apologies, it's late. It's just been full on, with Easter. We had the family over on Sunday, and I tried to just take myself away from football again. I've had 3 weeks away from it, and then Everton play once, and I want to take myself back away from it. So look, it's really poor. Sean Dyche, he made a little comment today, basically saying that the last 12 games don't matter. I got the impression that he was trying to, scave off the fact that we've been so poor and just try to go game by game. And I semi understand that. But what he forgets is it's absolutely fine him saying that because it's his job, and it's the players' jobs. But it's us as fans that go week in, week out. We spend, hundreds of pounds going and watching our team, home, away. You socialise with your friends. We were talking about, and obviously there's been a lot of stick on Twitter about proper blues. Well, by definition, I do 214 miles to a home game. Most games, it's better for me to be away. No, I can't get away tickets and I don't try to, but the point I'm making is I commit my time, my effort, my money into supporting Everton, and we haven't give anything back in this no wins in 12. We haven't give anything back, and actually, some of the performances we put in even before then aren't very good. This season has really been defined by an 8-game period in the middle where we won 6, drew 1 and lost 1. That's the period that Everton have been half decent. But apart from that, this season, Everton have been a relegation team for all of it. We haven't scored enough goals. We haven't looked like we can break teams down. And defensively, we've looked all right up until, as I was saying recently, as I said in the last Manchester United game, we look weak because we haven't got any confidence in the team. It was always we had a solid defence and we were okay-ish. We'd score a goal occasionally. But now, it's actually, we can't score at all and we're not keeping clean sheets. We are the perfect relegation fodder at this point. The only positive is that we are currently sitting above Luton and Nottingham Forest, but that might not be the case after a PSR hearing. So Everton Football Club could be sitting, as of right now, in 18th, really. We just don't know the points. So that's my issue with all of this, is we simply don't know where we are when we go into this Newcastle game. They've come off the back of a 4-3 win, getting a last-minute goal, big confidence and being happy and being enthusiastic about what's going on outside the club, and the future's looking a bit brighter for Newcastle, etc. And they've got their challenges, but their challenges long term aren't going to be that the club is facing liquidation or administration, or we don't know the owners and the manager's not good enough. That isn't Newcastle's problems. So I struggle with the whole looking at both clubs and where we are and talking about this game, because the simple fact of the matter is, do I expect Everton to go to Newcastle and win the game? No, because I haven't got enough confidence that we're going to score a goal. I thought after the 3-week break, I thought we would be absolutely fine. I thought we'd go into the game against Bournemouth, and I didn't necessarily sit there and think we'd win, but I did think we'd get something. I thought it would be a better performance. And if I'm being honest, it was much of the same. It was turgid, it was lacklustre. Defensively, we looked poor at times. The transition was slow. Everything that Bournemouth did was quicker than what we did it. There was the occasional time when we played good one-touch passing, but it weren't great. And this Newcastle team, look, they've got injuries, and I think Gordon's out because he's picked up a second yellow in that game. He ended up with a red card in that game. But when you sit there and you think of the gulf between two teams, 2 years ago, Newcastle were roughly where Everton are. They'd started progressing under Eddie Howe, but they were roughly where Everton are. And when you look at where Everton are now compared to where Newcastle are, It's chalk and cheese. And you said the same thing about Villa. You could talk about how teams like Brighton have been promoted, and the progression of West Ham, for example, under David Moyes. And you can see it, Everton's facts and figures come out last night, their financial standing, and were £89 million was a loss recorded for last year. 89 million. And this is a team that's wage bill is 10th in the league, relatively low. You've got a team where the revenue is plummeted, partly because of the USM deal, okay, fine. But Everton haven't done anything to change that. And we've got an owner that doesn't want to put any money into the club anymore. And then in the back of that, we've got another group that want to buy into Everton. But I must admit, I have never heard, and it's not just Everton, this is just football in fact in general. I have never heard of a group of fans coming into a football team, a group of investors coming into a football team with all of the rubbish going on behind the scenes, all of the comments, all of the talking about losing capacity and losing funding and being downgraded on credit. I've never known that. So that massively concerns me. And when you sit there and you think there's people like MSP Capital and Rights and Media, etc., I'm pretty sure if MSP's loan isn't repaid by the middle of April, they can offer to pay for a controlling stake in Everton. And at this point, I just want somebody to pull the trigger and say, yeah, you're going to be fine. Because we're not. And we go into this game against Newcastle, and I don't know what performance is going to be on the pitch, what this manager's going to do, apart from probably much of the same. He probably starts better, but there's other players that I like to see. We're then going into a situation where we don't know about points deduction, because we're probably going to find this out this week, if not next week. And then we've got, games coming up that Everton will want to get something out of. Teams like Forest at Goodison, Sheffield United at Goodison, Luton away. These are games that Everton have got to get things out of. Burnley at Goodison. These are games that Everton have got to get results in. It's absolutely massive. We're talking about this Newcastle game, and I'm barely mentioning it because everything off the field is kind of what's a bigger concern. I don't expect to get anything against Newcastle. I really don't. I'm almost writing the game off, but we go up against Burnley this weekend, and that's an absolute 3-pointer must win. We have to win that game. If we lose that game, not only does it mean Burnley come a little bit closer to us, but we're not pulling away from the bottom two, and that, it's criminal. It really is criminal. This Everton team they've got to find a way of scoring goals. They've got to find a creative player in that team that can unlock things. Your man for me is Dan Juma. Dan Juma doesn't play this against Newcastle. He doesn't go on the bench or anything. But if he's in training and he's getting to 60 to 70 to 80% fit, you start him on the weekend against Burnley, because it allows you to put McNeil maybe in a number 10 role, put him better, or play Chimiti, or put a bit of pace in there, and actually have a go at Burnley. Try and score some more goals. Try and get our goal difference back to a decent level. Our goal difference is all okay. It's not horrendous compared to the others, but it can still be improved. So yeah, in terms of your Newcastle match preview, yeah, it's Pickford in goal. Mikalenko, if he's fit, I don't know if he is. I didn't really watch the Dyche press conference. I watched snippets of it because I can't listen to him. The centre two are the same. Coleman still stays at right back. In the middle, I'll go with Idrissa Gana Gueye. I think we miss him when he doesn't play. I'll go with Onana. And I'd go with Decore. Now, earlier in the season, I did say that the three of them can't play together. They have to define their roles. They have to define their roles and separate from each other. And I'm hoping they can do that. And then, yeah, I mean, we're sort of stuck in between a rock and a hard place with the wingers, but it has to be Jack Harrison, McNeil, and I'll go with Beto up front. But I have no issue if we play 4-4-2 and we only play two of those midfielders and maybe drop Decore or drop Onana or drop whoever and play Chimity and go 4-4-2. I don't mind. All I want to see is Everton actually put in a performance, and I don't have any confidence we will. And I know that's negative, and I'm really sorry about that. But I'd rather be honest. This channel's always been about honesty. You know, I've seen so much rubbish on Twitter over the last few days from fan channels and fan groups, and you sit there and you think it's a joke. Like, it is a joke. Some of the things that I've been reading, and I just can't be bothered with the childish. I can't even speak. The childish nature of it all. The facts are, this Everton team have to stay in the league. They have to progress next season. The manager's the wrong man to do it. The board have clearly been incompetent, inept, and grossly negligent. So you need new owners coming in who have business acumen, have a mindset which is not Everton. And that sounds silly, but they have to be different to what we've already got. We've got mediocre. We've got mediocrity throughout the team. We've got accepting rubbish. That all needs to change. You know, us as fans, the reason we turn on managers and the reason we turn on players is because we are fed up and we are frustrated at watching players that don't deserve to wear the shirt, with managers that don't understand what they're doing. You know, Everton Football Club finished 10th under Carlo Ancelotti, which was a massive disappointment, bearing in mind I think we were second at Boxing Day that year. But no one nailed him for it. No one nailed him for it. No one jumped at the players, because it was kind of a case of, okay, what can you do next season, Carlo? How can you help us go forward? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Carlo left and went to Real Madrid, and the rest is history. But my point is, if you put the right people in charge, Everton will back them. And the right people for me, as of right now, is a Carlos Corberham from West Brom, a phenomenal manager. A manager that I've been crying out for 2 years, since Carlo actually left. Carlos Corberham is a fantastic manager. I'm pretty sure he's just signed a new deal. You know, a Graham Potter. Do I think it's an easy job for him? No. Could I think he could do it? Yeah, I do. I do think he could do it. You know, a David Moyes. I'd be all over. I'd be fine with a David Moyes coming back to Everton. And people are saying, you know, this is the past and whatever. But those three managers are better tactically, I would argue, than Sean Dyche. And this isn't a slating of Sean Dyche in any sense. It's really not. I just think the job is too big for him. I think he has a very set way of playing, which is fine, but he doesn't have the players to do it. And you can't use the excuses that he's using and get away with it. I think he's out of his depth, and that's fine. But I'd rather people just go, I'm out of my depth. I'm struggling. But he's not going to do that because there's so many millions involved. He won't do that. He won't just walk away. And Everton can't afford to sack him. So we are where we are. We're stuck with Dyche. But for me, touch wood, it sounds silly. We're not at the bottom. We're not at the bottom. We are probably 2 or 3 major incidents away from being at the bottom of the barrel, which is relegation, administration, and, well, they're the two, ain't they? They're the two that would happen. Moving forward, we simply need to go forward, and to do that, we need to stick together. And us as fans, we do that. As long as the people that run our club do it with no boys for the jobs and all that, jobs for the boys, and they just do it as not a business, but they remember that the core Everton fan is actually the most important person in this club, and that we go to the game, we support the team, and the team that is on that pitch has to represent us, which is fighting mentality, which is about drive, determination. And this Sean Dyche team at times, all of the things that he said about it, you know, how there needs to be sweat on the shirt and, you know, running to the ground and all of these things, all of that needs to be taken away, because the mentality is not that of a winner. And I have mentioned this before. You know, you've got players in that team like Branthwaite, like Onana, or maybe even a Calvert-Lewin, maybe even a Beto, Chimity. maybe even Mikolenko's and players of this world that will look at Sean Dyche and go, well, what have you actually achieved? What right have you got to coach me? And I know that's a big thing to say, but your Onanas of this world, your Branthwaites of this world are going to be playing for the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas. They are going to be playing for these teams. And because of the managers that will be in those positions with the success they've achieved, they'll respect them more. And I'm not saying these players have dropped tools, by the way, but subconsciously, all of these players know that currently they're probably bigger than Everton. And that's what has to change. So the sooner it changes, the better. Because it's wrong. We are the biggest part of Everton, us as fans. Not the money involved, not the tickets, not the shirt sales, not the commercial revenue, not the turnover. It's us fans. And at the minute, we're being served up tripe by a board that is gone, incompetent, proved it, by director of football, which I'm still questioning. But that's all. I'm not at the sack farewell stage, but I'm still questioning. Making signings like Jack Harrison on a loan and players like even McNeil for 15 million, I still question, and Neil Maupay, don't get it. I'm struggling with that. Sean Dyche as a manager doesn't work, and a lot of these players shouldn't be there. There's a lot to change. So, look, in terms of score prediction, yeah, I'm going 2-0 Newcastle, and I'm really sorry it's negative. But I'm sort of looking forward. Get this game out of the way. Get it gone. Get the derby out of the way as well. They're the game. Just get rid of them. Sounds silly. We've got Newcastle, Liverpool and Arsenal. Get rid of them 3 games. Get rid of them and then concentrate on the other games, which is Forest, Sheffield United, Luton, Burnley. Teams like that. Concentrate on that. Concentrate on getting results in them games. That's what I'm asking for. So, look, guys, I'm leaving it there. Love you long time. Keep smiling. Up the toffees. Peace.